Have you ever just sat in silence and felt completely tired, even though you did nothing all day? Do you sometimes wake up already feeling exhausted before the day even begins? Why does everything, talking to people, doing work, even thinking, feel so heavy sometimes? A young man once said, "I don't have any problems, but I'm still tired of life." He wasn't lazy, and he wasn't weak. He was simply carrying too much in his mind. The world didn't hurt him. His own thoughts did. Welcome to Wisdom Woven. If you're feeling tired from everything, this series is for you. We will talk about the real reasons behind mental exhaustion and how Buddhist wisdom can gently help you find peace again. There's so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% subscribed. So please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel if you find value here. It really encourages us to keep creating for you. Now let's go deeper. This kind of tiredness isn't just physical. It's emotional, it's mental, it's spiritual. You don't need more sleep. You need more peace. You don't need more motivation. You need silence inside your mind. Buddha said, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. But in today's world, people are chasing peace in everything outside. Money, relationships, success. Still, they feel tired. This tiredness comes from pretending to be okay, from constantly comparing, from forcing yourself to smile when you want to cry. It comes from carrying the weight of other people's expectations day after day. Most people don't realize this, but doing nothing also takes energy when your thoughts are racing nonstop. The real tiredness is not from work, but from overthinking, overfeeling, overcaring. In Buddhism, the cause of suffering is attachment. And we're attached to too many things, memories, emotions, fears, what people think, and what might go wrong. These attachments silently drain us. So if you're feeling tired from everything, you're not alone. And you're not broken. Your soul is just asking for rest. Not the kind that comes from sleep, but the kind that comes from letting go. In the next part, we'll gently explore how to break the cycle of mental overload step by step. Escaping the cycle of mental overload. Come, sit. No need to rush. You're safe here. You look tired again, not just in your eyes, but in your soul. I can see it. Your mind is loud, and your heart is heavy. And you wonder, why is this happening to me again? You thought maybe it would go away. Maybe a few hours of sleep would fix it. Maybe watching something, distracting yourself, scrolling endlessly would help. But the cycle returned, didn't it? That cycle where you feel drained but don't know why. Where you're surrounded by people but still feel alone. Where your head is full of noise but nothing makes sense. Let's talk about that cycle today and how to step out of it. The cycle of mental overload is not built overnight. It begins slowly, silently. One small thought becomes 2, then 10, then 100. Soon, your inner world becomes crowded. Too many open tabs in a mind. Too many voices. Too many shoulds. You say, I should be working harder. I should be happier. I should not feel this way. These shoulds are heavy, and every time you carry one, you forget who you really are. The world teaches you to move fast, but the soul speaks in stillness. That's why even when you pause, your mind doesn't. You sit in silence, but your thoughts scream. Tell me honestly, how often do you just sit without doing anything? Without touching your phone, without planning the next task, without replaying past conversations in your head? Very rarely, right? That's how the overload grows. We never empty the mind. We just keep filling it. Let me tell you a small Zen story. A student came to the master and said, I feel overwhelmed. My thoughts are like a storm. I want peace. The master smiled and poured tea into the student's cup. He kept pouring until the cup overflowed. Stop, the student said. The cup is full. The master said, exactly. Your mind is the same. How can I pour peace into it if it's already full? You must understand this deeply. Before you can receive peace, you must make space for it. That means letting go. But I know, letting go sounds scary, doesn't it? It sounds like giving up. No, my dear one, letting go is not weakness. It is wisdom. You don't have to let go of everything all at once. Just start with one thing. The thought that keeps repeating every day. The worry that circles back every night before you sleep. That's the first string in a knot. When you pull that gently, the rest will begin to loosen. Mental overload also comes from trying to fix everything and everyone. You care deeply. That's beautiful. But when caring becomes controlling, it turns into suffering. Sometimes you take responsibility for things that aren't yours to carry. You want to make everyone happy. You want to solve every problem. You want everything to go perfectly. But life is not a machine. It's more like a river. You can't control the flow. You can only learn how to float. Now listen to this carefully. One of the greatest sources of mental overload is the inner war with yourself. That quiet, daily battle where one voice says, "You're not enough," and another whispers, "You must try harder." You get caught between these voices and forget your true nature. In Zen, we say, before you were born, who were you? That question is not to confuse you. It's to remind you. You are not your job, not your mistakes, not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind all of them. And awareness never gets tired. It only watches. Now, you may ask, but how do I begin to calm this mind? How do I stop this cycle? I'll tell you. Start small. Start by noticing your breath. Just notice, not change it, not control it. When your mind races, bring your attention to the breath. Inhale. Exhale. Again. The breath is the gate to the present moment. And the present moment is the only place where the overload doesn't exist. Because overload lives in the past and future, not here, not now. Another way is to observe your thoughts like clouds in the sky. You don't need to chase them. You don't need to fight them. Just watch them pass. A thought arises, "I'm not doing enough." Say to yourself, there's that thought again. Don't argue with it. Don't believe it blindly. Just let it float by. That's the Zen way. Not fighting, not forcing, just seeing. And in seeing clearly, things begin to lose their power over you. Also, understand this. You don't have to respond to everything immediately. The world wants fast replies, fast decisions, fast success. But your soul needs slowness. Take pauses, even short ones. Before answering a message, before starting a task, before speaking, pause for one breath. This small gap is a powerful medicine. It gives you space. And in that space, you return to yourself. You may think this is too simple to work, but the truth is simplicity heals. Complexity exhausts the mind, but silence nourishes it. So, take a break not just from tasks, but from thoughts. Go for a walk without headphones. Sit under a tree. Watch the clouds. Drink tea slowly. Let the mind breathe. It will feel strange at first. You will feel restless. But slowly, something inside will begin to soften. And that is how the cycle starts to break. My dear, you're not lazy. You're not broken. You're just carrying too much for too long. Even the sky rains when it holds too many clouds. So allow yourself to rest, not just in the body, but in the soul. In the next part, we will talk about the hidden sadness behind a busy life. But for now, just sit quietly for a moment. Listen to the silence. Feel your breath. You're not alone. You're not the only one tired of thinking. And slowly, very slowly, you are healing. Keep walking with me. The path of peace is waiting. Let's continue together. The quiet desperation behind a busy life. Kulme, sit down again. Yes, you. You who always has something to do. A task waiting, a message to reply to, a goal to chase. You're always busy, aren't you? But let me ask you gently, in all this doing, are you truly living? Or are you just surviving? You wake up, check your phone, rush into the day. You answer people, follow schedules, complete work. You post, you scroll, you smile, you talk, you push through, and still, something feels missing. You don't know what it is. You can't name it. But it's there, a quiet emptiness in your chest, a silent sadness behind your eyes. This is what I call the quiet desperation behind a busy life. You see, many people look like they are living perfectly from the outside. Full calendars, constant activity, always moving. But inside they are tired, not from work, but from pretending. Not from pressure, but from performing. Not from people, but from never truly being seen. They're not lazy. They're not broken. They're just lost in noise. In Zen, we say, sitting quietly, doing nothing, spring comes and the grass grows by itself. But today, People are afraid of doing nothing. They believe if they stop, they will fall behind. If they rest, they'll become useless. If they pause, they'll miss out. So they keep running, even if their feet are bleeding, even if their soul is whispering, "Please, just stop for a moment." Let me tell you a little story. There was once a monk who used to walk around a village very slowly. He didn't own anything but his bowl and his robes. He smiled often, but spoke very little. A man from the village asked him, "Why don't you do something useful with your time? Look at us, we're working, building, growing." The monk smiled and said, "I am doing something. I am being." The man laughed. "Being is not doing." The monk replied, "And that is why you're always tired, but I'm always at peace." You see, the world honors movement, activity, noise, but the soul, it craves stillness. Many people today have learned how to do everything: earn, build, chase, prove, but they have forgotten how to just be. That's why even when they reach their goals, they feel empty. They climbed the ladder, but it was leaning on the wrong wall. Busy lives often hide quiet hearts that are slowly falling apart. You may look organized, efficient, accomplished, but when you close the door and sit alone, what do you feel? Relief or sadness? Peace or pressure? Joy or a quiet ache? If your answer is the ache, know this: you're not weak. You are human. You are carrying invisible wounds, not on your body, but in your spirit. In Buddhism, we say suffering arises not just from pain, but from resistance. You're tired, but you keep pushing. You're hurting, but you pretend. You feel lost, but you keep smiling. This constant fight between how you feel and how you show up, that's the real exhaustion. Let me ask you something gently. When was the last time you sat with your own feelings without trying to fix them? When did you last cry without wiping your tears too quickly? When did you last breathe without rushing to the next task? You've built a life full of things, but have you built space for yourself in it? If not, then maybe it's time to ask, what are you really chasing? Often, we think, once I get there, I'll rest. Once I earn more. Once I finish this project. Once I get recognition. Once they understand me. But the truth is there is no there. The goalposts always move. Today becomes tomorrow. Tomorrow becomes another chase. Peace isn't found in arrival. It's found in awareness, right now. You don't have to give up your work or responsibilities to feel peace. But you do have to bring awareness to your life. Doing things mindfully changes everything. Wash your hands slowly. Drink tea and actually taste it. Walk without a destination. Breathe and feel it in your belly. These small acts pull you back to yourself. And when you return to yourself, the desperation begins to fade. Let me give you an image. Imagine your life is like a beautiful garden, but instead of watering the roots, you're only painting the leaves to look fresh. From the outside, the garden looks green, but inside it's dry, fading, tired. This is what a busy life does when there's no time for the soul. You need to water the roots, your silence, your truth, your rest. Only then can real peace grow again. Many people fear stillness because it reveals too much. In silence, your emotions rise. Your hidden thoughts come to surface. But don't be afraid. You don't have to fix everything at once. Just sit with yourself like you would sit with a friend who is hurting. Be gentle. Be kind. Be patient. Healing happens in that gentle space. In Zen, we teach the beauty of presence, not perfection. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to feel happy all the time. You just need to be real with yourself. Because the truth is, pretending is what drains us the most. When you stop pretending, even if nothing outside changes, something inside begins to breathe again. Maybe your schedule is full, but your heart is empty. Maybe your phone is busy, but your soul is silent. Maybe your hands are active, but your mind is begging for rest. If this feels like your story, then listen closely. You're allowed to stop. You're allowed to feel. You're allowed to rest. The world may not say this, but I will. Every day, find a moment that belongs only to you. It doesn't have to be long, just enough. Enough to take a breath. Enough to ask, how am I really? Enough to feel human again. You're not a machine. You're not a checklist. You are a soul, and your soul needs care. Let go of the idea that being busy equals being worthy. Your value is not in your productivity. It is in your presence. Even if you do nothing today but breathe and be, that is enough. Truly, deeply, it is enough. We often wait for a breakdown before we pause. But you can choose differently. You can pause now, gently, wisely, before your soul starts screaming. The quiet desperation you feel doesn't mean you've failed. It means your soul is knocking, asking to come home. So, come home to yourself. Not through noise, not through speed, but through silence, through stillness, through softness. You will not lose anything. In fact, you will gain everything that truly matters. Your peace, your truth, yourself. And that, my dear, is where life truly begins. How Buddhism sees suffering and inner burnout. Come close again, my dear. The fire in your heart still flickers, and I see your tiredness hasn't left. You carry it quietly like many do, smiling on the outside, but inside, a silent scream, a heavy breath, a question you don't know how to ask. Why does this suffering never go away? You may think it's because something is wrong with you, or that life is unfair, or maybe that you're just not strong enough. But come, sit with me. Let me tell you a different way to look at your pain. Let me show you how the Buddha saw suffering, not as punishment, not as failure, but as a doorway to wisdom. Long ago, before Buddha was awakened, he was like us. He lived in a palace, surrounded by comfort, beauty, and protection. But still, something felt incomplete. One day, he left the palace walls and saw four things he had never seen before: an old man, a sick man, a dead man, and a monk. It was the first time he truly saw suffering. And in that moment, he understood no one can escape pain. Not even the rich, not even the powerful, not even the wise. He left his palace, not to escape life, but to understand it. And from that journey, the truth of suffering was born, what we call in Buddhism, the first noble truth. So what does this mean for you? You, who feel tired from everything. It means this: your suffering does not mean something is wrong. It means you are alive. Suffering is part of the human experience. It is not something to be ashamed of. It is not weakness. It is not a flaw in your spirit. It is a teacher. And like all teachers, it speaks in silence, discomfort, and truth. Let's go deeper. The Buddha taught that suffering comes from clinging, holding tightly to things that are always changing. You suffer because you hold on to people thinking they'll never leave. You suffer because you hold on to outcomes, hoping they'll go exactly as planned. You suffer because you hold on to your idea of how life should be. But life doesn't follow your plan. It flows its own way. And when you resist it, when you say, no, it must go this way, that resistance is what burns you out inside. Let me share something simple with you. Have you ever tried to hold water in your hand? If you squeeze it too tightly, it slips away. But if you let your hand stay open, the water stays gently in your palm. This is the difference between attachment and acceptance. Attachment says, I must control this. Acceptance says, I allow this to be. And in that allowing, there is peace. Now you may ask, but how can I just let go when everything feels so painful? I will not lie to you. Letting go is not easy. It is not a sudden switch. It is a slow softening, like ice melting under the sun. Each day, as you become more aware of what you're clinging to, you can begin to loosen your grip. Not to lose it, not to forget it, but to make peace with it. You may be clinging to an old wound, a mistake you made, a person who hurt you, a version of yourself you miss. These are all real, and the pain is real. But the suffering, the deep, burning, ongoing suffering, comes when you keep replaying it in your mind again and again, wishing it was different. This is what Buddha saw clearly. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Pain visits. Suffering stays when you invite it to sit forever. Let me tell you a Zen image. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack all day. It's filled with rocks, some yours, some given by others. After some time, your shoulders ache. Your back bends. Someone asks, why don't you take the backpack off? And you reply, I didn't know I could. That's how many live, carrying emotional weight without realizing they have the right to put it down. Inner burnout is not always about doing too much. Often, it's about feeling too much, thinking too much, holding too much. You hold back tears. You hold in words. You hold expectations. You hold fear. No wonder you feel tired, even in silence. So what do? We begin to observe. We become quiet students of our own suffering. When a feeling arises, ask it gently. What are you here to show me? Not how do I fix you? Not how do I hide you? Just what do you want me to see? This simple question changes everything. It turns pain into teacher. It turns chaos into wisdom. In Buddhism, we call this vipassana, insight through direct seeing. You sit, you breathe, you watch the storm inside without running. And slowly, the storm starts to speak. It says, you don't need to be perfect. It says, you're trying too hard to be strong. It says, you've forgotten how to rest. And in that moment, something inside you begins to shift. Let me remind you, your suffering is not your identity. It is a passing cloud, not the sky. The sky is your awareness. Vast, open, unshaken. The more you return to this awareness, the less power the storm has. Even if it rains, you are the sky, not the rain. Now listen carefully. Burnout is not just about too much work. It's about too little meaning. When life becomes mechanical, task after task, day after day, the soul starts to fade. You may still function, but inside, you're not alive. This is why Buddhist practice brings you back to intention. Why are you doing what you're doing? If it's only for survival, your soul will starve. You need nourishment, not just food, but purpose, peace, stillness, connection. You don't need to change your whole life overnight. That's not the Zen way. The Zen way is gentle, one breath at a time, one moment of awareness, one act of kindness, one step toward letting go. This is how we heal, not in noise, not in hurry, but in presence. And know this too, suffering is not always the enemy. Sometimes it is the only thing that wakes us up. Many only seek peace when pain becomes unbearable. That pain, then, becomes the gate to transformation. You are walking through that gate now. Yes, it hurts, but beyond it, something beautiful waits. So today, if you're suffering, do not run from it. Do not judge it. Do not think you are alone in it. Just sit with it, like you're sitting with me now. Let it speak. Let it soften. Let it pass. And remember, every moment you become aware of your suffering, you are no longer trapped in it. You are watching it. You are free. That is where healing begins. In the next part, we will go even deeper into the illusions of control and expectation that feed our inner pain. But for now, rest. Be gentle. Watch your breath. You are not broken. You are blooming quietly in the soil of your own struggle. And I am here with you, always, understanding the illusion of control and expectations. Come in again. The wind outside is loud, but in here, we sit with silence. You are still searching. I can feel it. You are trying to hold life together, holding your thoughts, your people, your plans, your world like threads in your palm. And yet, no matter how tight you hold them, they keep slipping, don't they? Let me ask you something softly. How much of your pain comes from trying to control things that were never in your hands to begin with? How much of your exhaustion comes not from life itself, but from resisting life? The Buddha taught something very simple, yet very powerful. We suffer when we believe we can control the uncontrollable. You think you can control what others feel about you. You think you can control the outcomes of your efforts. You think you can make everything go according to plan. But life is not a machine. It is not built on your command. It is like the wind, the river, the flame, wild, moving, free. The more you try to trap it, the more it burns your hands. Let me tell you a story. A monk once sat beside a stream, watching the water flow. Another man came rushing, angry, frustrated. He said, I have done everything right. I plan my work. I spoke gently. I try my best. Still, nothing goes the way I want. Why is life so unfair? The monk said nothing. He picked up a leaf, gently placed it on the water, and watched it float away. The man frowned. What does that mean? The monk smiled. The river does not care about your anger. It flows anyway, and the leaf, it doesn't resist. That's the illusion we live in. the illusion that we are the master of everything. But look around. Can you control the weather? Can you control someone else's thoughts? Can you control the past? Can you control tomorrow? No. Yet, you live every day as if you can. This false belief creates tension inside you, a constant pressure to fix, manage, and arrange every detail of life. That pressure is the root of much of your suffering. Zen teaches us to let go of control, not because life is hopeless, but because life is already moving, already dancing. You are not the conductor of this universe. You are a part of its rhythm. So instead of trying to control the music, maybe it's time you start learning to dance. Let's talk about expectations now. Expectations are quiet seeds we plant in the soil of control. We expect people to behave a certain way. We expect success to arrive in a straight line. We expect our emotions to always stay balanced. But expectations are tricky. When they come true, we feel happy, but briefly. When they fail, we feel shattered, deeply. So our joy becomes dependent on things we cannot predict. Buddha said, "Attachment is the root of suffering." Expectations are a form of attachment to outcomes, to people, to identity. You say to yourself, "I will be happy when this happens. I will feel worthy if they understand me. I will relax after I succeed." These are conditions you place on peace. But peace doesn't live in the future. It lives in the now. Imagine a man trying to walk forward, but every few steps, he looks behind, checking if everything is still perfect, still aligned. He stumbles. He feels tired. That's what expectations do. They pull your attention from the present. They tie your joy to a moving target. You think you're walking toward peace, but actually, you're dragging a heavy bag of how it should be. Now let's breathe. Inhale slowly. Exhale gently. Can you feel how your breath does not need your control? It flows on its own. This is your first lesson in surrender. Control creates tightness. Surrender creates space. You don't need to give up your life. You just need to give up the idea that you're in charge of every outcome. Let me tell you another story. A farmer once lost his horse. His neighbor said, "What bad luck?" He said, "Maybe." The next day, the horse returned with 2 wild horses. "What good luck?" said the neighbors. He said, "Maybe." Then his son tried to ride one and broke his leg. "What terrible luck," they said. He replied, "Maybe." Then war broke out. Every young man was taken to fight, except the farmer's son, because of his injury. "What good luck," the neighbors said. The farmer smiled. "Maybe." You see, we don't know what anything truly means until much later. We judge too fast. We expect too much. Zen teaches us not to label every event. Instead, we watch. Instead of saying, "This is good," or "This is bad," we say, "Let's see." This creates space in your mind, space for peace to enter. So how do we live without clinging, without controlling? We practice what Zen calls non-striving. This doesn't mean we stop trying. It means we stop forcing. It means we do our part and let life do its part. You show up with effort, but without attachment to the result. You speak your truth without trying to control how others take it. You make a plan, but stay open to change. This is not weakness. This is wisdom. Let go. Not because you don't care, but because you finally understand that life flows better when you stop trying to hold the river. Control says, "I must hold everything." Peace says, "I trust the flow." Which one do you want to live by? You may be wondering, but if I let go of control, won't everything fall apart? No. What will fall apart is your illusion. And what will rise is your freedom. You'll begin to see that things happen, not always as you wish, but often as you need. And when something doesn't go your way, you will hurt, but you won't drown. That is what we call inner resilience. Life becomes easier when you stop fighting it. Even when storms come, you will know this too will pass. Even when someone hurts you, you will say, "I release my grip." Even when you fail, you will smile and whisper, "Let's try again." This is how peace returns, not with perfect plans, but with open hands. Take a breath now. Feel your shoulders soften. Feel your jaw relax. Notice how you're always bracing for something, for loss, for disappointment, for control to slip. But what if there was nothing to brace for? What if you were safe in the unknown? In Zen, we bow to everything, joy and sorrow, gain and loss, clarity and confusion. Because we know all things rise and fall, all things come and go, and in that dance we remain still. My dear, you don't have to fix everything. You just have to meet life as it is, one breath at a time. Release your grip, unfold your fingers, let go of the illusion, and discover the peace that was waiting beneath it all. The noise within, overthinking and emotional fatigue. Sit here once again. Breathe gently. Feel the ground beneath you. You don't need to say anything. I already know. Your mind, it hasn't been quiet in a long time, has it? Even when your body rests, your mind doesn't. Even in silence, there is noise. Not the kind you hear with your ears, but the kind that speaks inside. The endless thoughts, worries, what-ifs, regrets, plans, fears, and imaginary arguments. Yes, that noise. Today, let us talk about it. Let us speak softly about overthinking and the emotional fatigue it brings to your heart. Overthinking is like trying to see your reflection in boiling water. The more you stir it, the less clear it becomes. The more you try to find peace through thinking, the farther it runs from you. You think and think and think until thoughts become a cage, until every little thing alone. Try this. In the middle of your busiest day, stop for just 1 minute. Close your eyes. Breathe. Ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Don't fix it. Just see it. Let it be there. This is stillness. This is peace. This is coming home. The more you return to stillness, the more it grows. It becomes your natural state. You start living from the inside out, not the outside in. You are no longer pushed by the world. You are guided by your center. And when others are shouting, you stay quiet. When others are confused, you see clearly. When others are afraid, you hold space. This is how the world changes. Not by more noise, but by more stillness. In the next and final part, we will walk together into acceptance and peace, the true freedom that comes from within. But for now, rest here. You don't need to solve anything today. Just be still. Let the silence speak to you. And remember, stillness is not a place you visit. It is who you are when you stop being everything else. True acceptance, the end of resistance and the beginning of peace. Come here one final time. Sit gently. Take a deep breath in and let go slowly. This journey has been long. Not just the one through these words, but the one you've been walking your whole life. A path full of turns, questions, heaviness, silence, courage, and small awakenings. And now, we come to the last step, a soft step, a sacred step. It's called acceptance. Not the kind of acceptance that gives up, not the kind that says, this is how it is, so I must suffer, but the kind that says, I will stop fighting what is. I will meet this moment fully. I will find peace, not through control, but through surrender. Before we go further, let me ask you something from the heart. How much of your life have you spent resisting? Resisting how people are? Resisting how things happened? Resisting how you are? And what has that resistance given you? Has it made you lighter? Or has it added more weight? Has it brought you peace? Or made you restless? You see, resistance is subtle. Sometimes it sounds like, it shouldn't be this way. Why did this happen to me? I can't believe they did that. This isn't fair. I should be different by now. These are not bad thoughts. They are very human. But if held too tightly, they become chains around your heart. Let me tell you a story. A man was stuck in a river during a storm. He kept fighting the current, trying to swim against it. The more he fought, the more exhausted he became. Finally, when he could no longer move, he let go, and the river carried him gently to shore. Acceptance is like that. It is not weakness. It is trust. It is not failure. It is flowing with what is real. The Buddha taught us, pain is part of life. Suffering is our resistance to pain. This means pain will visit, loss, change, disappointment. But suffering grows when we say, this shouldn't happen. This must go away. This must be different. When we hold on tightly to how things should be, we suffer. But when we accept what is, we begin to heal. Acceptance doesn't mean you agree with everything. It doesn't mean you like pain or injustice. It means you stop pretending. You stop clinging. You stop waiting for life to match a perfect picture in your head. You open your hands. You open your heart. You open to what is here now, even if it's messy, even if it hurts, even if it's not what you planned. This is the beginning of peace, a deep, soft peace that is not dependent on the world changing, but on you no longer resisting the world. Sometimes, acceptance means forgiving someone who may never say sorry. Sometimes, it means loving a part of yourself you used to hate. Sometimes, it means starting again, even when you're scared. And sometimes, it means sitting quietly with your sadness without trying to fix it, just being with it, breathing with it, letting it be. You may ask, but if I accept everything, won't I become passive? No, acceptance is not giving up. It is giving up the illusion that you can control everything. It is the beginning of wise action. When you accept reality, you see it clearly. And only then can you choose your next step with peace and power. Let me tell you something sacred. You don't have to heal everything before you accept yourself. You don't have to be perfect to find peace. You don't need all the answers to rest. Right now, as you are, you can say, I accept this moment. I accept this version of me. I accept that life is uncertain, but I will walk with awareness. And in that moment, peace arrives. In Zen, we say, when you let go of how it should be, you find the beauty in how it is. And often, that beauty is simple. A breath, a quiet morning, a small tear on your cheek, a warm tea between cold hands. Life is always offering peace, not through perfection, but through presence. So how do we practice acceptance? Here is something gentle you can do. When you feel tension, stop, close your eyes, breathe slowly, and ask, what am I resisting right now? Can I allow it to be here, just for a moment? Can I soften around this feeling? You don't have to love it. You don't have to like it. Just allow it. And then breathe again. That is enough. Over time, acceptance becomes your foundation. You stop fighting with life. You stop fighting with yourself. You walk with more softness. You listen with more patience. You smile more easily. Because you're not chasing peace. You're living it. You've walked a long way, dear one. You've faced your fears. You've released your pain. You've made space for stillness. And now, here, at the final step, you sit in peace. Not because everything is perfect, but because you stopped resisting what is. Let me offer you a final story. A disciple asked the master, what is enlightenment? The master replied, when I am hungry, I eat. When I am tired, I rest. The disciple was confused. That's it? The master smiled, yes. That's it. But most people eat with their thoughts elsewhere. They rest with guilt. I simply accept each moment fully. This is the highest truth. Not escaping life, but meeting life with full presence. So, as we come to the end of this journey together, let's sit one last time. Place your hands gently on your lap. Close your eyes. Breathe in slowly. Breathe out fully. Now softly whisper in your heart, I accept what I cannot change. I forgive what I cannot forget. I love who I am becoming. And I trust what comes next. This is peace. This is freedom. This is the quiet joy that lives in acceptance. And before you go, if this journey brought light to your path, I invite you kindly, from the heart. There's so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% subscribe. So please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Wisdom Woven if this brought peace to your soul. Because peace shared grows. Thank you for walking this 12-part journey with me. The world may not always be calm, but now you know, you can be, and that changes everything.